This is Baseline, a podcast about baseball by people who know nothing about baseball. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Andrew, and we know nothing about baseball. Hey, guess what?
The Dodgers are bad.
Well, I think, yeah, probably. I'll trust your judgment on that one.
I'm trying to okay, I know we've got fans of this show. Can we say that at this point even?
Yeah, sure.
I feel...
Well, we have people who listen to the show.
Okay.
I don't want to make assumptions about whether they like it or not. They might be hate listening.
True. Okay. Much like hate watching your bitter rival.
Right. They're like, oh, you guys root for the wrong team.
I do feel that way sometimes. I'll watch. You know what? I will actually enjoy a Dodger broadcast every now and then, but I do not know what, in fact, the truth of the matter is. Andrew, what's going on?
I received my baseball hat.
Ooh, okay. The one that we on the last show
we picked out live. Yes,
we did.
It's a New Era 920. Which means it's an adjustable hat.
Ooh, okay.
And it has a curved brim because I'm not a fool.
Okay, was it like the canonical dad cap like we talked about last time?
Sure. I don't want to self-identify as a dad hat wearer, but yeah, why not? No, it's your standard baseball cap, you know? It's not the flat-billed ones that look a little bit silly. It's a baseball cap. And I had forgotten how nice baseball caps are.
Yeah.
It turns out they're designed really well to keep the sun from getting in your eyes.
Fair. Describe to me the texture of the fabric on what would I guess be the part that covers your actual head, like sort of the circular part that covers the top of the head. Is it sort of a cotton or is it like a polyester mixture of some sort?
This hat is 100% cotton. And
Mm.
exclusive of decoration, says the tag.
Okay.
I'm
not sure what that means, but
it's exclusive of decoration.
Is it like a made in USA sort of thing where they're union made and
no, because this one's made in Bangladesh, so it is absolutely not union made. 100% certain of that.
Yep. Okay.
So, but it's a good hat. It's got the red, by which I mean it's red, and it has the C for Cincinnati.
Okay, all right,
and that's really it. It's pretty understated, but that's the point. So yeah, it'll be nice. I'll wear it in the summer. I like hats. I'm a hat man. I'm a hat person.
I am too. I like to wear. I mean, you'll even in my avatar on most social media, you'll see I wear a backwards cap oft times because I'm probably on my third or fourth month without a haircut, and I have just sort of given up.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, given up to the point where I'm like, okay, all I'm trying to do is keep the hair out of my eyes in the most convenient way, and the most I don't even know. Maybe there's some sort of normativity, some heteronormativity situation where I've just grown up with baseball caps and that's what as a straight white male I've worn, being a baseball fan and stuff, and all of the masculine baggage that comes with baseball. I feel at least, or there probably is still a whole bunch, but that's sort of what you get roped into. And so baseball caps for me, they just became part of my wardrobe at some sort of age, probably when I played baseball as a kid, and was like, oh yeah, no, that's just it's what you wear now. Because I didn't really get into any other sports or anything else to diverge from sort of the baseball cap style.
I had a ton of baseball caps as a kid because my dad would just get them for all sorts of reasons. I had Cincinnati Reds caps, and I had University of Cincinnati caps, and so on. But I haven't had a baseball cap in, well, that's not true. I've received some for promotional things, but I haven't sought out a baseball cap in some time. I'm curious if there's one that you Well, I guess how old is your current hat? Do you replace it? Is there one that you select every a regular period of time, or do you like?
Kinda.
Would you always buy the same hat, or what? I guess generally the same hat, or do you switch it up?
No, I tend to switch it up. I would say probably 5 years ago or so, I went on this tear where when we would go to a new
stormed
stadium,
through a Lids,
yeah,
and bought one of everything.
Give me one of everything, please.
Waiter, excuse me, garçon,
hat person, hat boy. No, it's more of like when I go to a new stadium, I'm just looking for some sort of memorabilia that I feel can withstand my body mostly, and like not have to go into the washing machine immediately or end up on the refrigerator, or like trying to decide what to buy at a souvenir shop is so difficult. And shopping online, I think you did that right, where you're like, let me just sort of window shop here for a little bit and find a hat that looks good.
Well, and the one of the problems that you have shopping at the stadium, of course, is the prices are going to be high because you're a captive audience.
Yeah,
for the hats.
That's
like,
fair.
They're like, you want hat? We have hat, $50.
Thankfully, that's not the case at most places that I've been to grab a hat. But I replace my quote unquote replace mine when and if my cat gets to it, usually, because the bill of it tends to like
that would prematurely age your hat for sure.
It absolutely will. And I guess depending on how often you wear it, the smell emanating from said hat after certain activities like moving or extensive,
really any
quote
kind
unquote
of sweating
exercise
activity.
Yeah.
There's not a particularly great way to clean or wash a baseball cap.
I feel like folks have put them on those like hat cages and put them in the dishwasher and washed them that way. I may be wrong in assuming that, but I kind of feel like there's a dishwasher rack for a hat or something.
Yeah, that's all I can say about that is yikes.
Yeah, point is, I tend to not replace my hats that often because I have quite a few. I have some that have brewery logos on them, so it's sort of like, the day job beer adjacent, and then I've got baseball ones, and if I'm going to an actual baseball park for that team, maybe I will wear the hat for that team there. I tend to not wear the hat for a team that is not playing at that stadium during that game. It just feels odd to do that. I don't know. So oftentimes I will just pick up a hat from a game where I don't have either team there, or I'm at a new stadium, and it just ends up on the shelf with the rest of them. So I've got kind of a collection amassing, even though I do not consider myself a fan of like the Houston Astros or the Texas Rangers or the Nationals or whatever. I will grab a hat from them just as a souvenir. And so it's just like they accumulate, and they maybe I'll wear one day. I don't know.
The good news is that the Cincinnati Reds have seen fit to offer a hat that is already in need of laundering by the time you receive it. And I'm sending the link to you now.
Oh no. Is this sort of like a scratched jeans situation, or like an acid wash jeans?
It is indeed. They refer to it as a rustic hat.
Oh, is that printed or like?
I think what happened is that these hats were in a truck and the truck crashed. And so like the hats spilled out onto the road, and they thought, sell them anyway. Like this looks like hats that have been sitting in a warehouse for like 20 years.
$26
for a ruined hat.
Are you kidding me? This is like I worked underneath my car for 8 hours.
That's actually what the dirt pattern on this looks like, is that it looks like brake dust that you've accumulated from working on your car.
Or because the big rig that you were working on decided to start driving and you had to hang on for your dear life and became essentially a pair of truck nuts underneath that thing, and you're just being dragged on the highway. Like, what? This is terrible.
Yeah, I don't know who thought this was a good idea.
Well,
I hope they didn't make too many of them, because
I guess the back of it is nice though. Like they don't.
Yeah,
it seems to be just
like a trucker hat.
nice trucker mesh sort of situation.
I look forward to purchasing this in like 6 months when it's marked down to $5.
Yeah. Good idea. Grab the dirty one. Would love to maybe buy this for some sort of YouTube video situation. Yeah. Watch me wash a hat that's already dirty from the Cincinnati Reds, I guess. In a dishwasher, just come full circle.
The hat wash challenge.
That's right. Yep.
And what up? It's your boy. We're doing the hat wash challenge. Smash that like button.
Subscribe for more dirty hats, please.
All your favorite dirty hat content right here at Dirty Hat Zone. It's DHZ. Yo, what up?
Oh, no.
I'm Andy.
No.
This is your boy, Kyle.
We're here with another dirty hat challenge.
We're going to put the Flex Seal on it. It's a crossover event.
We're gonna put a super oleophobic coating or whatever, super hydrophobic coating on the outside of this. I mean, that would be great. I would love sort of like I'd
love a rain repellent baseball hat.
So speaking of dirty hats, I myself this weekend at spring training went and picked up a hat as well. Mm-hmm. That hat. There were a lot on the wall. And I remember our conversation last time. We were talking about like, okay, what size head am I? Am I sort of like a big old Bruce Bochy or a...
Yeah, which I still need to measure because I'm curious, but...
Well, so here's the thing. Between two different hats, there was one that... the one I picked up was sort of this like gray...
Is this a shoe size scenario?
It kind of, yeah. I mean, it is. I don't know what.
Where you're like a 9 in one, but you're a 10 in another, and you're like, oh, come on, guys, get it together. Get it together.
Pretty much. I mean, I tried on one that was gray. I tried on one that was black, but they were made of two different like materials, and the same size fit differently on me. I don't know if there can't be like this.
It might be manufacturing variants. Who knows?
No, because like trying on the same 7 5/8.
Oh, from multiple hats. Yeah,
it was different sizes between different colored hats and different materialed hats, but of the same hat. When I would go down the hat stack, that felt the same. So they were all like the same size. So the quality assurance on one particular hat is great because they are consistent at a particular size. You cannot go from 7.5 on the black cotton feeling one to the 7.5 on the like gray spring training polyester feeling one. They're completely different sizes. And so it's probably best to just go to not a sponsor, go to a Lids and try one on and see how they feel. And don't order them online, honestly. Like don't. Because you're gonna
not a fitted hat.
Not a fitted hat, unless you know for a fact, like you're replacing one that you already bought.
Unless you've had your skull professionally measured with a set of calipers, do not attempt.
Go to the hat tailor, ask them
the haberdashery. Get fitted for a fedora, and then say, actually, you know what? Just give me my measurements. You can put this $500 hat back.
Yeah, I actually really wanted that New Era Red Team Rustic 920 adjustable hat with free brake dust on it, please. Yeah. That would be great. But I've got that now in my collection, I guess, and it's quite comfy. It's one of those fitted ones, and I believe, a 7.5. So
well, there you go.
Yeah, at least in that hat.
No, yeah. Right. Just one comment for the manufacturer of the hats. They can't get their sizing right.
The good news is you're fired.
You are, because I can't trust you to give me a hat that is consistent from hat to hat. So
what's the point of using numbers if you're not going to use the same numbers?
I'm not sure, especially when they get so specific.
What is the deal with hat sizes?
That's what I'm saying. I would have loved sort of like a pirate. Yeah, okay, all right. I would have loved like a frilly pirate hat situation. That would have been fine.
Like a tricorn with a giant feather coming out of one side, or
you know, Pittsburgh. If you're listening, do it.
Yeah, license that idea from us. We charge very reasonable rates.
It's sort of your like version of a rustic, quote unquote, rustic Cincinnati Reds brake dust hat.
Yeah.
But like dirty pirates with actual. Well,
you call it your like heritage hat or something. I don't.
There you go.
That's a freebie. Yep. They're gonna have to roll with
that. Speaking of freebies, we had some feedback in follow up where Andrew, we heard from our friend Aaron about how far back he is in listening. So hi Aaron, it's August 31st and you're back.
Aaron, I look forward to you hearing this episode in 2021.
Yeah. We had some recommendations for like, yeah, I know. It's, that's the trouble with podcast listening. You're never caught up.
Yeah, that's true. They're making more of them every day.
So he's going through the backlog. One, if you want to watch a team during a blackout, and honestly, lots of other television, there may or may not be a service in which he mentions here in our Discord, and an Apple TV app apparently that would work as well. I was unaware. I guess I'm woefully unaware that there were Apple TV apps that allowed for this sort of thing.
Yeah, I was too. I think this is the sort of service that you're not meant to be super aware of.
Sure, fair. That makes sense. It's not they're not buying Gimlet, right? They're not saying Apple, give us your 30% cut. Right. They're just trying to fly under the radar, I guess, and that's fine.
They're just like, I think they're a little bit a guy in a trench coat on the street who's like, you want TV?
We have hats and TV. I mean, whichever one you want.
Your pick. You want NBC? You want ABC? I have CBS. Very good price.
I forgot what else to say about number one. Okay, yeah. Oh, he remembered. If you are a T-Mobile customer, you can get free MLB at bat through March 26th. So that's going to still be available when this episode goes out. So if you are a T-Mobile
do not
customer,
walk to your local T-Mobile app or whatever.
I don't know how that would work. I guess you probably
better get it done. I'm pretty sure it's like a sign up online thing, but
yeah, well, or some sort of situation where you have to sign on to like the Wi-Fi on an American Airlines flight where they're like, no, go through this website if you want to access literally anything. But once you pass our threshold, then we sort of
minor correction here. It in fact starts on the 26th.
Oh, okay. So
I'll put the link. The link will be in the show notes.
Fantastic.
But yes, there's a website. It's tmobile.com/MLB. Go there starting on the 26th and arrange for your free MLB.TV if you have T-Mobile.
So what they're trying to do is get you into the regular season. They figure you're not a diehard fan. You're not trying to.
Well, they're not going to pay MLB for for spring training.
Okay, free game. Yeah, I guess so. More
who's
on that
watch
later.
That?
Yeah, fair. Very fair.
The answer is us, but
yeah, we're really paying for it, honestly, at this point.
Oh boy. Yeah. So I may explore Aaron's secret suggestion system service.
I would be curious to know. I mean, if you're actually looking for ways around that, feel free to join our Discord. I guess it's sort of like I guess now we're just sort of we're in dark web territory, honestly, at this point. So
we are. You're going to need to install Tor to visit our Discord.
You
our
don't
Distor.
trust me. Yes. We are a welcoming community. You can go over to patreon.com/goodstuff and Chris will give you access there. So,
and we appreciate it. It supports the everything, the website and the whatnot.
It does support everything, and it'll eventually give us t-shirts. So that's kind of all I'm banking on.
And coming soon, in fact, they may be out as soon as this episode is out. Bonus episodes.
Indeed. Yes, we are in the process of getting those put together, including...
We're doing big things, folks. We have big plans. We got a vision. We have a dream. You know, if you had one shot, one opportunity, I don't know how the rest of the song goes.
I would capture it, or I might let it slip. Yo. So, yes, indeed, go over to patreon.com/goodstuff and you'll get some good stuff from us eventually. Or you know, at least you'll be in the Discord and you'll be able to find out about...
Yeah, you can at least bug us if we don't do it fast enough. So that's a thing.
All right, I've got one more last piece of follow-up for us to get to from friend of the show, Kenny, and former co-host of Morning Show. I almost forgot the name, honestly. Like, it took me a little while.
Of your former podcast.
Of my former glory. I don't know how else to really preface this other than to say he's decided the name of the movie segment that this show is going to have going forward.
You're suggesting that it was simply so good that all other suggestions were, you know...
they no longer need to be considered, Andrew. Honestly, like we don't even need to bring them up anymore. Because,
and I want to be clear, you have not mentioned this to me beforehand, so this will be a complete surprise to me.
Letterbox score.
Oh, that's good. I like that. It's very topical.
It incorporates where our movies currently live, at least, and it will maybe allow us to give some sort of 9-inning overview and run scoring capability to a movie.
That's good. Yeah, I'm going to count every error.
Yes, and we will be sure to mark any home runs and maybe base hits and things like that in there. So
comprehensive list of errors.
Yeah, very well. Good on you, Kenny.
Alrighty.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Kenny.
So I guess we need to just do it. That's the hard part, honestly. Like we've
been talking about it. We've been dancing around it. We just gotta.
And
we gotta pick a movie.
Pull the trigger.
Yep.
But you know what we should do? We will put a poll of sorts into the Baseline Discord, and you all can vote on which movie we watch first. We can also put the poll probably in the show notes.
Yeah.
Right now, look at your podcast player. If you don't use Chapters, download a different podcast player, I guess, because Andrew puts a lot of work into putting both images and links and chapters into our show.
Frankly, too much work.
Well, you gotta do something to help with this show. So I appreciate it. But you'll see a link in there for voting on which one we should watch first. So I'll put that together and we will put that into the show notes.
Yeah. Yep. All I gotta say is please pick a good movie. Right.
Okay. No pressure.
I leave it to you to figure out what that means.
Speaking of good things, I guess. I went to spring training this weekend. We put off recording for a couple days so that I could, get out to ye old Cactus League, catch a game, drink a lot of beer, and then drive back after, a day or so later after things have settled down. During that spring training trip, I did see the Giants play the Texas Rangers, and I wanted to sort of break down some of the things that I had completely forgotten are a part of watching a baseball game in person, because these are things that we've covered kind of a lot about the listening to the baseball on the radio, watching baseball on TV, looking at like where the score is, box scores, a lot about the like consumption of baseball as it is in television and radio. But in person, it's a totally different thing. And I wanted to break down a couple of key points here. And I was...
It's a whole different ball game, you might say.
It is indeed. Carolyn, my wife, was watching me take notes while we were at the ballpark, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm podcast.
It's for my work.
It's for work. It's a podcast thing."
Yeah.
So,
did she roll her eyes?
No.
Oh.
It's been enough years and enough podcasting escapades, enough good stuff shows for her to know really what's up and how much time I spend doing this stuff. So
just kind of that's nice, dear.
Yeah, precisely. 100%. That was the vibe. All right. So the first up, now batting, the first bullet point, the national anthem was sort of the first thing that I noticed and completely forgot about. And I did not remember that it was like, well, and especially at spring training, things feel like there is no ceremony and stuff prior to the actual game part starting. Right. It just kind of goes from players are walking around and warming up, and then the national anthem starts, and you're expected to, everybody across the stadium stands up, and you're in a stadium likely that you never, watch a game in. You are there for one weekend.
And now, please rise and stand for the singing of our national anthem.
100%. That is exactly what they say. So everyone stands, you take off your hat, and you look to find where the American flag is in the stadium, and some sort of rendition of the national anthem plays. And because it is a spring training game, sometimes that just means they're playing a song over the PA.
Right. They're just going to Spotify and searching for national anthem.
Pretty much. Yeah. I would not be surprised if that was the case in some circumstances. Or it'll be some sort of rendition on.
It's a good job they don't pick a remix or something.
Yeah.
National anthem, dubstep remix.
Where's the drop? I'm waiting for the drop. So that was just something that, like, it has been inextricably linked from baseball and other sports, honestly, from like every sport, pretty much.
Actually, this is my question: is did they play just the national anthem? Because I know in certain other sports they now are going above and beyond and playing other patriotic songs as well.
Yeah, some places on Sundays will play "God Bless America" in the seventh inning instead of like "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" or whatever. To be honest, didn't stay until the seventh inning because boring. Bad game. That's okay. It's also way too hot out there. But anyway, so at this point, fine. National anthem. After that, similar to the booming voice that you just gave me, player introductions happened, and I completely forgot that player introductions are a thing that happen.
It's so good.
It is really, really good.
And do they play their song, that they've chosen to?
Yes, but very quietly. It is not like...
Yeah, I noticed that on the broadcast. It would be like the center fielder. Number 23. Such and so. And then it would...
Yeah, or it would be some sort of like where they've taken all the treble out and they've taken all the bass out, and it's just the frequencies between 500 and 1,000 hertz, and that's it. And it's just and it doesn't sound great, but it does kind of sound. It sounds like someone is like humming in like under their breath what the song.
I'm just imagining a humming rendition of the national anthem now.
It kind of is. I mean,
national anthem on kazoo.
Yeah. Yep. I'm okay with that. So I love player introductions. You can sometimes hear them on TV, but oftentimes you have to be there in person just to hear what that's actually like, because they go from, especially when you are at the home stadium,
0 to 100. Back to 0.
Oh, it is just like two sides of like a really weird coin, where one is super boring and understated and the other side is loud and obnoxious.
I don't recall if we mentioned this on a previous podcast or if it was in like an extra innings or something, but I talked about how I remembered at Reds games when they would announce the starting lineup for the visiting team, it would be like the center fielder, and they'd get all through, and then they'd go, and now your Cincinnati Reds, and like tons of music and whatever, and it was like, get hype.
Well, it would be typically when they take the field too, and they're just coming up, and it's like, taking the field, you're Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
And they go, they like walk out of the dugout, and then now batting, center fielder, whoever the person is. And
there's a guy with
I don't know at that point if the EQ is different, or like if they're just, no, I'm over here. I'm over here now.
I'm over here. I didn't get dinner. I didn't get dinner. I'm having just a quick cheese coney.
I loved player introductions. I'm
doing my
good,
second job while I do this. I'm checking taxes.
I have to put a yardstick in front of my face just so I get that consistent like visitors team feel.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very understated. That was great in the first inning. And then by the second inning, you pretty much don't notice, which is fine. I mean, that's how it should be. It should, it feels, baseball has this thing where it's like, it feels a certain way until you're in it, until you're like waist deep in it. And it's no longer shocking how cold the water is. It starts to actually feel good. And welcome to baseball. Yep. So,
welcome to baseball.
The next part of this, I think, is something that I wanted to understand from you, how, like, what your perception of this situation would be. So coming up in the first inning, the Giants took the field. So they are basically on defense. And on offense, the Texas Rangers had their first batter up was a fella called Hunter Pence. And as soon as the player introduction happened for Hunter Pence, now batting, right fielder Hunter Pence, right? He's visiting team, so it's not going to be that exciting. But across the stadium, people start standing up and cheering and like, woo, standing ovation for a visiting player, the first one up. What would your perception of this situation be, being, let's say, on the field, if you didn't have someone explaining to you?
What do I think is happening?
Yeah.
My guess that probably got traded or something.
Okay, so the player coming up got traded.
Yeah,
to
like
the team that they're on now.
Right. Yeah, from the, like, at one point or another they played for the home team.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean,
and they done a good job. So give them some claps. Please clap, everybody. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
he hit the ball real good.
Usually, you sort of like follow what everyone else in the stadium does. Like, oh, everyone else is cheering. Sure, I'll cheer too. I don't know why they're cheering, but I'll do it. Just sort of like a social pressure situation. But yeah, Hunter Pence played with the Giants for, gosh, I want to say like 5 years. Won 2 World Series with them.
Okay, yeah, so that's definitely worthy of, respect, even though he's, like, I guess technically an adversary now. Like, he helped win 2 World Series for the club, so that's commendable,
Yes. Now, it should be stated, though, that for Hunter Pence, like he'll get that standing ovation at the first time that they play. Well, I don't know if this was the first time. Let's just make the assumption that it was the first time that they played again at a Giant stadium. And in spring training, first one up, standing ovation, great. The next time that he actually plays against the Giants in a regular season game at what's now Oracle Park in San Francisco, he's going to get probably the same standing ovation, but likely only for his first at bat. This is not going to be something where every single time he comes back up to bat, he's going to get a standing ovation.
That would be a little bit silly.
It would, yeah. It's
You've already
like,
conveyed, it's like sending multiple thank you cards. It's like, no, I got it.
But how do you let me know?
Message received.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that was something where I was like, oh, this. If you didn't know the deep history of this particular player, you would maybe think like, okay, maybe like the first batter that comes up for the other team, everyone cheers, and then after that it like settles down.
But I think it's you have to be a particular kind of player. Like you can't have left acrimoniously.
Yeah.
And ideally you did something big for the team. Like players get traded all the time. Not all of them are power players. Maybe they aren't just that well known. So
correct.
Yeah. You have to be you have to meet a set of unwritten requirements.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and it's more like a feeling, right? If someone just decided to like jump into like rousing applause for a player, it may catch on in one section, maybe for some reason, like if you're just feeling the weird vibe that someone's putting off, but it does sort of
or you'll
like
just
for an
get the
entire
audio
stadium.
of one guy going, woo! Yeah!
Yep.
And you're like, well, that guy's excited.
Just loop it the whole. I mean, you'll get that guy in your section for sure.
Cut that guy off. He's had 3 Miller Lights already in the span of 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's that. I didn't have to deal with that, thankfully. But in such a small stadium, you do end up sort of like making friends with the people nearby, getting into conversations of, so what do you do? It's like, gosh, I'm at a spring training game. Why? Like, I get this
baseball.
doesn't count, but this is not a opportunity for you to just open up to me about your job and why your wife is calling you.
Boy, let me tell you, my boss, he's been
oh my gosh.
Geesh.
Anyway, so that was interesting. So Hunter Pence, it'll happen again at the home ballpark when actual games start. So I kind of look forward to that. The other thing, let's see. I'm just going down this list. Next bullet. There was a timer. So we talked about the timer for pitches last time, where there is sort of like the 20-second timer for each pitch. And the expectation is that the pitcher is at least set by basically meaning like he stops moving the ball and stuff and he's ready to throw the pitch by the time the timer gets down to 0.
Right. You got 20 seconds for whatever tomfoolery you need to go through.
Correct. If he doesn't, apparently the rule that they're trying out is that a ball will be called.
No.
Which is
That's
interesting.
Fun.
Yeah, they're trying it out, seeing how it fits.
I am interested to learn how pitchers feel about that. We should explore that some.
They likely do not care. Watching the pitchers that were in that game, they got to like 12 seconds on the clock and they were ready. Like they were ready for the next pitch.
It'd just be funny to be someone who gets walked because of some pitcher fooling around. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I think it's just more of like
But I sympathize as a spectator, as a watcher. It's like,
same.
throw the ball. Get the ball across the plate. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You playing Tetris on your phone? Like, come on. There's a game going on here.
The other timer that's on the field, it actually shows up in the same spot, is in between innings, every half inning or whatever, there's a 2-minute timer. So that basically allows for, I don't know, radio,
station identification,
commercials,
and ads,
station identification, or TV commercials, or just like warming the pitcher back up. because they were in the dugout for however long. And it's a 2-minute timer. So it was one part of the game that you don't get to see on TV. You know you have to wait for the next half inning, but you rarely see that it's a 2-minute timer. So you can always expect, at least after the third out, 2 minutes later, next pitch.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of seeing a game in person that I completely forgot about are the concessions people.
Popcorn. Get your popcorn.
Get your popcorn. Kettle corn. Lemonade. Cheaper than beer. Lemonade.
Ice cold beer.
Yep. There's a lot of baseball culture leaching out of concessions people. It historically, I believe, is just, it has been basically the same. It is people wearing like bright uniforms, walking up and down the stadium stairs.
Yeah, holding a ridiculous number of things. Usually in some kind of odd contraption that's strapped to them.
It's heavy. I mean, and what they're trying to do is sell through their stuff, whatever that stuff might be. So you've got like beer, popcorn, cotton candy, lemonade, dibs, peanuts. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. I have peanuts is the next one here. I also forgot that there's just a boatload of peanuts, and I
can't go anywhere without stepping on some peanut shells all the time.
You really can't. And watching a game, I don't
think you can go to a ballpark if you have a peanut allergy. It's just not really feasible.
No, it probably is. I mean, you're stuck sort of watching on TV because it's all over the ground. I mean, the peanut shells, you don't. I mean, you could, I guess, if you wanted to, like grab them and put them in a bag and save them and throw them away afterwards. But the expectation, at least at a baseball stadium, is you just sort of throw them on the ground. It's other than Texas Roadhouse, this is sort of like the only other place where you could just take a peanut shell and put it on the ground.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Yeah, it's just like, yeah, here you go. Someone will clean this up.
But you wouldn't do that with like, I don't know, like a bunch of popcorn. Like it's just that feels like wrong. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's weird.
Sunflower seeds also okay to sort of just on the ground.
Yeah.
But that's sort of it. It's like the shelly stuff.
Right. Everything with the discardable shell.
Yeah. Just sort of like the nut detritus can just kind of, be put onto the ground. And it was a part of baseball that like, oh yeah, seeing that and crunching as you're walking to your seat, like, yep, that feels like baseball.
Yeah. Like, is it truly a game without the like crunching of, peanut shells under your feet?
No. Thankfully, I've never like slipped on a nut getting to my seat or anything like that.
Yeah.
But spilling beer has happened quite often.
There's sometimes like someone bumps into you because they don't realize you're coming down the row or something, and then beer gets spilt.
Yep.
They say there's no use crying over spilled milk, but there is plenty of use crying over spilled beer.
Oh, absolutely. Ooh. Especially if you pay $19 for like a 20-ounce vessel of something. I paid, oh boy, let's see. I went out to center field. They had I was able to get like a can of craft beer, which I guess is something that ballparks are doing these days. They're giving you an 16-ounce aluminum can of craft beer. It's glorious.
Rather than the little plastic cup.
Rather than a plastic cup, rather than... And all that does...
That should help because the can should keep it colder, I would think.
Kinda. I like beer from a can personally a lot more than a bottle or a draft, just because it is easier to hold.
Because of science reasons.
Well, and I don't feel like I'm going to spill it as easy, right?
Well,
like
that's true. Right.
I'm not going to like tip it out of the now wide mouth can. That's, you know what? Widescreen TV, widescreen HD TV, and wide mouth can. Everything in 2002 went wide, and I don't know why.
It's a good question. Let's put that in the topic list. We'll investigate.
We'll soda, Anyway,
yeah, we'll do a special baseline special report.
why things got wide.
Why is everything wide?
The Trans Am, I think at that point, the Pontiac Trans Am was like the wide edition.
Wide.
Yeah, Pontiac Wide Track. 1959. Okay.
Oh.
Well, that's not okay. The Pontiac Wide Track Grand Prix commercial from 1996. So there was, yeah,
it's a couple years early. They were ahead of the trend.
Yeah. Well, you got your Grand Prix wide track. You need your wide mouth can. Anyway,
right.
The other part of watching a game in person, and this wasn't one that I saw actually while I was there. This was listening to a game on the radio, and I had remembered this interference. And interference is one thing. I think also players jumping on the field is a whole other thing for us to get into eventually, and how television treats that and how radio is very different from that and what that's like in person. But interference would be described as a ball that could be in play, but a fan reaches into the field of play to interfere and change the course of a play or a game or whatever by interfering with the play that's happening. So this could happen with like a line drive that kind of curves over either like the first base side or the third base side, and like someone watching the game will reach out and touch the ball while it is still on the field. And that would be considered interference. At that point, what happens is it's likely a ground rule double, which means the player who was batting only gets to go to second base, even if, had that fan not interfered, they may have a triple or a inside the park home run or whatever. They can only go to second. Now, what happens, though, when a fan interferes with a play is usually that fan is thrown out of the stadium. They are no longer able to attend that game, and potentially, depending on what happens, could be dealt with by the authorities that are there.
Yeah, if it's particularly egregious or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. I think, I guess other sports have less chance for interference in general because the audience is much more removed from the field of play. But in baseball, they're right up there. So,
well, so I wanted to understand, I guess, from you, like, does that, you said it sounds fair, but does it sound like overly, especially for a game that doesn't count in spring training, does it sound overly harsh to throw a fan out? Let's say that was their first game. They didn't know that they weren't allowed to touch a ball that is coming towards them. That is what you have seen, at least on TV, to be like the foul ground area, right? Maybe you just think, oh my goodness, it's in the foul area. It must be foul now.
See, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've always known that, that's the field. You don't get on the field. You're not a player. What are you doing? Get your hand away. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't seem that unreasonable to me. It's like, it's like it's like at a movie walking up to the front and being like, "Excuse me." Like, what
are you guys watching this? Are you watching this?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess listening to it on the radio and hearing that it happened during a spring training game, I was just like, really? Did you, like, you could go talk to that person?
I don't know. I mean, you have a point that for spring training, it doesn't matter. So, like, but I guess
yes. I mean, if you're trying to set a standard or set an example for everyone else in the stadium,
maybe they want to be consistent.
I guess it just seemed it seemed weird to me, but I get it. I totally get it.
It's just another opportunity for the umpire to be like, "You're out of here."
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, usually it's not the umpires that are saying like, "Hey, get that guy out of there," because players on the field and umpires likely, when a some sort of fan jumps on the field and stuff, they're not going to interfere with the authorities that are at the stadium and are supposed to manage that kind of thing. They stand there, or like they will, I don't know, like avoid whatever is happening.
Don't engage.
Don't engage. Exactly. So, all right, interference. Yeah. Just don't do it, people. If there's a question mark in terms of like, is this okay for me to do? Just don't. Like even if it means a ball is going to be a souvenir for you, the common rule just needs to be don't.
Earn that ball the right way.
Yeah, go to the actual souvenir shop. Go to the
purchase it off of eBay,
the dugout store. Yeah. And go pay $95 for one. That's the proper way to grab a baseball.
Or just catch a home run or a foul ball, the proper way.
Yep. It's dangerous these days, man.
I mean, that's a whole thing in and of itself, that fans are allowed to keep balls that fly into the stadium.
That is true. Yep. That's not,
because that's not a thing in other sports. They want that back.
Yeah.
We want that football back. What do you think you're doing? Get back here.
And really, I mean, there's no air, right?
Yeah.
It's not. I mean, those are just made of air mostly. Soccer balls, footballs. Yeah. So, the last part of sort of watching a game in person that also did not happen at the game that I was at, but happened last night in the Giants and Brewers game that I was watching on TV. There was a rain delay. And a lot of games actually yesterday got canceled. This one in particular was a lot later in the evening and did not get canceled, but the players were playing in the pouring rain. And again, like when we mention other sports, that is something that is completely different in baseball, where the field conditions and whether or not a ball can be gripped properly and players are not going to hurt themselves, like planting their feet, that will put a game in what's called a rain delay, so that you like wait until the rain stops to go try and play again.
Yeah, they drag the tarps out there.
Yeah, yes, to try and cover the dirt so that it just does not get completely waterlogged and muddy out there. A little water's good because you don't want the dust kicking up, and you want balls to be kind of predictable when they do hit the ground, and it's not like bone dry.
Right.
But too much water,
you don't want it to turn to mud.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get in that sort of like infield Goldilocks zone. So the rain last night, at least during that game, there was a brief delay. They went and covered a couple things, and you wait. Whatever was happening in the game, it's kind of like putting it on pause. It's very video game like, where you just sort of hit the pause button.
We'll be right back.
Yeah. No, and the commentators just try and fill the air a little bit and fill the dead air and talk about something else and wait for the rain to pass. They're looking in their weather underground apps and stuff, and it says like, oh, rain will stop in 5 minutes. So here we are, 5 minutes. Let's do a commercial and let's come back and talk about, I don't know, some of the cool plays in the game. But yesterday's game was different, because once the rain started really coming down in the beginning of the fifth inning, halfway, anyway, they had played 4.5 innings, basically. So if you do 4.5 innings and you're halfway through the fifth inning right now, that game got cut short and ended. They actually called that game, and the game ended Giants 4 and Brewers 2. And that was considered a final score, even though all of the innings hadn't been played. And I wanted to introduce this concept, and I'm pulling it up now. I lost it. There's the hat. Hold on. That's not the link I want. Come on, man. I wanted to introduce the concept of the official game to baseball, because it may not be something that you have heard of before. I will link you to the Wikipedia page for it, because it's just wiki/official_game. And it's very much on the nose. Since most professional baseball games are 9 innings long, the fifth inning is used as the threshold for an official game. If the visiting team is leading or the game is tied, the end of the fifth inning marks the point. If the home team, which bats last, is already ahead in the score, which is the case that was happening here, and theoretically would not need its half of the fifth inning, then at that point, 4.5 is considered the official game. So, because they were up at the 4.5 inning mark, this was an official game. Now, an official game basically means that things like stats will count, things like the score will count, and you don't have to postpone it and restart it at another time. Anything that would have happened after that 4.5 inning mark is just never, ever going to happen. It is listed as an official game now.
Right. So, like, no rain checks, basically. That was the game. It was a short game, but that was it.
No rain checks, no refunds, nothing. So you sort of like, as someone watching the game in person, you lose out, I guess, on 4 innings of entertainment, more or less.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't realize that was a thing. I knew that games would get called because of rain at some point, but I didn't realize there was like a standard for that.
Yeah. And it is basically like score dependent and home team dependent and stuff like that. There are rules around it. But it's in other sports, I guess this is like, it says other professional sports utilize similar rules regarding quote unquote official games / events. Likely though, you would not see a soccer or football game or whatever go to halftime and then say like, that's good enough. I think we're good. Like let's not.
We tried.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's kind of it. And there were articles written by the Brewers saying like, man, the Brewers were on a rally. They had just hit a 2-run home run at that point and were rallying to come back and tie up the game. And the umpires decided to call that game. And it is definitely up to them on whether or not they should call the game or
crooked umps.
Yeah. On the payroll, I guess, for the Giants. But yeah, it is up to them to decide whether or not it should be listed as an official game or if they should postpone it or, wait an hour. Like it's in the Cactus League and it was cold and it's raining and this game doesn't count. For them to say like, all right, guys, wait an hour, then we'll resume at 10:30 p.m. and continue 4 more innings.
Yeah, it would have been like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Do we have to?
I feel, you know what? I would be curious to know at that point if one of the teams could be like, nah, like we're just not
we'll just
going
take
to. We will concede.
Right.
So I'm not sure what the situation would be, especially for a game during spring training. That doesn't really count that much, but I figure that was something that was pretty interesting. You rarely see baseball in the rain. It just makes for lots of injuries and really difficulty fielding, like trying to grab the ball and make the switch from your glove hand to your throwing hand so that
I can imagine
throw a player out. Yeah, it's just not great.
Fair amount of dropped balls or
and like passed balls from the catcher because it's slick as it's going through the air. Sliding, I'm sure is fun as a batter, but
I don't want to think about how dirty they get though. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, you're not the clubhouse manager. You don't have to deal with that laundry. It's
true.
fine. Yeah.
True. Someone take care of these.
Well, and it almost feels like they get new jerseys anyway.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Not the state, but the clothing item. Anyway, Andrew, that kind of wraps up my spring training. It was a good 6 to 7 hours to drive out there. Boy, it felt long. I listened to a few games there and back.
Well, there's not much in between.
Oh my gosh, there really isn't. It's like it's desert. It is the Cactus League, and there's cactuses for a little while, and then it's just rocks mostly.
Yeah,
and that's it. until you can finally.
Hey, there's another rock. Look at that rock. That's a neat rock.
I mean, eventually I was able to get into sort of the Inland Empire area, which is like you're in California, but you're not really in LA yet. You're sort of in between.
Right.
You can start to get some of the AM stations. So I switched over and listened to the Dodger game, then switched over to listen to the Angels game. So at least I had a little bit of radio outside of MLB, because you can't, in the middle of nowhere, you can barely get a like LTE signal in order to listen to MLB at bat. Yeah. So that was kind of difficult, but
clearly you need satellite radio.
Oh, do I? I don't need that 48 kilobit like.
Oh yeah, the S's sound real bad in that.
Well, that's the thing. So with MLB at bat, listening through the car Bluetooth makes me realize how much more I like AM radio for listening to games, because the signal that is being processed through MLB at bat is like pre-expander, like pre-limiter for the entire radio station. And so you get this like under-gained, unvolumed, like really, really quiet, non-standardized volume level between these different teams. And if I listen to the Cubs, it's like, hey, we're the Cubs. And then I switch over to the Dodgers and it's like, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, it's like the raw audio feed, and it has all the foibles that entails. You know, there might be a
yes. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
It's like, don't you want noise gates?
Well, that's what I want. Like, give me built-in compressor, give me built-in noise gates, give me like a volume level. Like, I want consistency between broadcasts. If you're going to show me all of them, give me some sort of like audio unit editor thing so that I can we were talking before the show started about like iOS scripting and making a thing yours and trying to get it to work on iOS devices. And I've tried for years and years to make this work with MLB at bat to pass, utilizing the like inter-app communication for sound, the sound bus thing, to go from MLB through a compressor and then have it output, and it doesn't work. I can't get it to work. It has driven.
Yeah, you need like an external box.
Yes, I need a very small Apollo like solo thing.
Yeah.
I need a $1,000 item to sit in my glove box so I can run software compressor on MLB at bat radio broadcasts, or I'll just use the radio, I guess.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating, but anyway, that I feel far more passionate about that aspect of my baseball enjoyment than I do about the actual plays and things that were being made during these games I watched. But that's just me. That's because I care more about the audio quality than I do probably the player statistics. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. It sounds like it was a fun day trip. And
highly recommended. Yeah. If you ever get the chance to, or if you live in LA, and you're a fan of the show, maybe we'll have to put together like a caravan of sorts, and
we're gonna rent a van.
Some folks out. Hey, road trip. I am all for it.
Yeah, and it looks like you went to some good like bars or whatnot too. So
there are a lot of breweries out in Phoenix, in the Phoenix area.
Yeah.
The nice part about spring training is that
you got to be inside there, so you might as well make some beer while you're at it.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, they a lot of these places will feature the craft breweries that are actually just in that city. So like Scottsdale Stadium had a place called OHSO. They are like a craft beer brewing location, and one of their cans that they have available, or their only can, according to the person in center field, is made specifically for that ballpark. And, it's like everything kind of revolves around baseball and beer in that area in the spring. And it's a good thing. If those are two things that are in your wheelhouse, this is the perfect time of year for you.
Yeah. So to finish up for this week, we are going to once again talk about our minor league team of the week, And we have a really good team of the week this week. This was sent in by Tiger Matt on Twitter. This is the Rochester Red Wings. Red
Say
Wings.
that 10 times fast. Yeah.
Rochester Red Wings. The Rochester Red Wings. They are honoring the deaf community with special jerseys for Deaf Culture Day on April 28th. Their jersey will feature the team name spelled out in American Sign Language. So it shows the little hand positions on the jersey, which is super cool. And big ups to them.
At first glance, it's sort of like you don't really read hand signs this way or ASL, right? You typically see them as one hand doing multiple signs, one after another. But it sort of has them sequentially left to right. So it's got kind of like this, it looks still like a baseball jersey, but with the ASL hand signals for.
Yeah, and they've got a on their hat too. It's just the I think it's just the sign for R, but
yes,
it's on the cap. So that's good. And this article, which will be in the show notes, says that Rochester has one of the largest deaf populations in the country. So it's very fitting.
Yeah, I had no idea. I guess on Twitter, folks were saying like Deaf Culture Day. I didn't know that being deaf was a culture, but I appreciated the word you used, the deaf community, and Cut 4 here at MLB.com uses that as well. I think that's more appropriate for what they're trying to say about this. And, it's usually like this article mentioned, you're looking for like hilarious, over the top, trying to be like funny, sort of like, tongue in cheek a lot of times. And this is
trying to get attention mostly.
Totally.
Drum up attention.
This is not tongue in cheek, and this
is not
like
at all.
Thoroughly authentic. And so I think like from that perspective, it's great to see this sort of thing happen.
This is cool too. It says to mark the day, the game will feature a silent inning with no announcements or music.
That's great.
Very interesting. And sign language interpreters will be stationed throughout the park.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which I feel like that should be a thing all the time anyway, but
it's something that you will probably see for announcements at bigger stadiums. I know they do have one.
Yeah, they probably have a section for it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. It's like if you are, just sort of a casual baseball fan and you don't know that there is a section where they will have an interpreter there for you, or, you're just like trying to sort of like grok what's happening on the field and you're up in the upper deck or whatever, you are at such a disadvantage in trying to like understand what is being said or, what's going on the field. But I think lots of stadiums are trying to do a better job of putting text on the big screen in the outfield, which is pretty much readable from anywhere in the stadium. And this being done by the Rochester Red Wings is pretty cool. This happens on Sunday, April 28th, it looks like. So coming up. I
think this is good. I think more stuff like this, please.
Well, you can send in your, I guess, minor league baseball finds to baseline_show on Twitter, or you can drop us a line in the Discord if you've joined up there. We would appreciate it. Or you can email teams@baseline.show, because I just made that up and it'll work. Probably.
It'll work. It's magic. Email is magic, folks. Don't question it.
We will be back again next week with likely something. Boy, I don't really know how to get into this other than saying we are working on something very big. I just want to say we are likely, Andrew and I will be streaming something on Twitch, our Good Stuff Twitch channel. It'll be available over at twitch.tv/GSTV. We are awaiting, and I'm not sure which platform I'm going to get this on, whether it be Xbox or PlayStation. I don't know if you have a preference, but we are awaiting a video game release.
It has to be PlayStation.
Okay, fair.
I don't. It's your game.
Yeah, fair.
I own a PlayStation, but, that's me.
I'm fine with that as well. We are awaiting the release of a game on the PlayStation. It's been decided, and we'll be, quote unquote, playing said game live on the internet.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Give us a follow over on our Twitter. It is baseline_show. You can also follow each of us on our own separate Twitter accounts. They are linked through there, and we will likely be retweeting the heck out of it. We will also post about it in our Discord channel with a link and a time when that has been decided. There's still a lot of work to be had for this, and we may, in fact, enlist you in your help to make this happen. And so if you are interested in finding out more about that, please do go over to those channels. Yes, indeed.
Drop us a line.
I know it's a very vague way of describing something that eventually will be very exciting. I'm trying not to spoil it. It's like, it's just, and I also am really hoping that the video game that I have in mind for it is indeed going to be released on the day that they say it's going to be released. It's sort of like up in the air right now, but we'll see. Yeah.
Well, if not next week, then definitely at some point. That's our commitment. If you want to reach us, you can email topic suggestions or any other feedback that you have to topics@baseline.show or on Twitter, like Kyle previously mentioned. We'd love to hear your topic suggestions and any other feedback that you have about the show. And don't forget to head over to Goodstuff.fm and check out some of the other great shows hosted on that network that so graciously hosts us as well. This has been Baseline, and that's the ballgame.
Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or account of this game without the express written consent of Goodstuff.fm is prohibited.